Hi, Assalamu alaikum. In this video, we will understand about how you can trigger the obesity and how it can progress again and again, day to day. So, month after month and year after year, the obesity will accelerate and decrease the muscle mass while the increase the fat. So, how to stop that? Let's understand about all these things. So, how the obesity will progress. This is our topic, and in this way, we will understand the whole concept. So, remember that things when you will eat food like protein, fat, and the carbohydrate. So all these things is very basically when you will eat. So the fat, if the ketogenic diet or aching diet, no matter, because when you will eat, so the your GIP will produce from your enteroendocrine cell of the stomach wall. So in this way, the enteroendocrine cells produce the GIP will target to the beta cell of pancreas to release the insulin, and the already present the already glucose level will drop due to the insulin production and target to the muscle for absorption of that glucose which that are present in your blood. Even the all nutrient will be absorbed, and in this way your cell will be nutrient rich condition. Okay, and your adipose tissue also absorb the glucose, and that glucose will convert into the lipids. Triacylglycerol is known as glycogenesis, and that is due to the insulin. So the insulin is the anabolic, but insulin produce more fat, while the growth hormone is also anabolic, but it will burn the fat. So that is important thing, because it requires the growth hormone require the growth of the cell, and in this way the muscle development require the most more fat, and your brain require more fat. So in this way the all things basically the lipolysis will provide the lipids to certain tissue. Anyhow, the insulin is the number one thing which that will lead to cause obesity, and this is the important. And in this way the number one thing is that initial stage of the insulin spiking, because the insulin spike when you will eat any food. So after this spike, this insulin will drop the blood glucose level, and in this way when again the absorption of the certain nutrient like glucose, amino acid, and free fatty acid, and which that also stimulate again the insulin, and in this way the again rise of the insulin, that spike is maximum spike, which that will lead to deposit all nutrient into the adipose tissue to convert that into the fat, while going to the muscle to form a glycogen formation, but the too much glycogen is not required, so that all glucose will dispose into the adipose tissue. That is why the muscle will shrink, because your activity is not. If you are more bodybuilder, so you require more glucose level, glucose in your muscle for synthesis of glycogen. But if you are an inactive person like me, so we should don't consume too much glucose because it is not good. So that is why the glucose should be decreased, and in this the fasting is too much important. When you will go into the fasting, so insulin will not spike, so in this way the obesity will not occur. Number one thing, insulin resistance. What is the meaning of this? So the insulin resistance means your muscle will not function with the insulin and not absorb too much glucose, because muscle not require too much glucose. So in this the receptor will damage. Is known as insulin resistance and will lead to cause type 2 diabetes mellitus. But initial stage of the insulin resistance will increase the sensitivity of the insulin with the receptor in the adipocyte for absorption of the glucose, and in this way the suddenly decrease the glucose level, and in this way the lipogenesis will occur and the fat increase. So that is why the obesity will increase. Number one thing. Number two thing, importantly, when you will not fasting, so you obviously you increase the obesity. How it is possible? Let's also understand about that things. So when you will not fasting, so your insulin level will rise again and again, and in this way your growth hormone will decrease again and again whenever you will spike the insulin, because the anabolic hormone is the insulin says to our brain, don't release the growth hormone. In this way the growth hormone will not release. On the other hand, GIP will trigger also the brain, will lead to realize that you are okay and relax, and in this way the insulin is producing. So that is why insulin itself go into the brain to realize that the basically is the problem and don't release the growth hormone. Whenever the insulin will decrease, will target and trigger the brain. So insulin decrease due to the fasting. So remember that thing. Fasting is important for lose the fat. So go into the brain and release the growth hormone, and growth hormone will target to the adipose tissue, lead to lipolysis and free fatty acids and cholesterol and triacylglycerol will produce, and that will go into the basically into the liver, and liver will produce cholesterol, and that cholesterol go into the gonads to synthesis of steroid like testosterone. And testosterone is important for the fat burning process, because the testosterone itself will decrease the fat, and that fat will use for the synthesis of myofiber when target to the DNA of the muscle, so muscle cell myocyte. In this way, the basically the problem is that when you will not fasting, so the testosterone will decrease, will lead to decrease the fat burn. This is the process. On the other hand, the insulin resistance due to the overeating of the carbohydrate, which that also spike the insulin, and in this way. So the major reason for the inhibition of the obesity is the basically you can insulin quit the insulin resistance, and in this way the fasting is too much important for lose your muscle fat and increase your muscle. And on the other hand, important thing you should need to understand the micronutrients, like the basically micronutrients, potassium, sodium should be balanced. So in this way the potassium containing vegetable, green vegetable should be added in your diet whenever you will eat after the fasting, will lead to recover the potassium, because potassium loss more as compared to the sodium, and in this way the potassium is the intracellular cation, will function properly like a nerve impulse, like the transport of the material, exocytosis, endocytosis, and the absorption of the nutrient like amino acid. So a lot more thing is important, and it is due to the potassium and sodium exchange. But the potassium is intracellular. Whenever the potassium will go into the blood, so it will be lost, so it will be excrete, but the sodium will reabsorb because the blood required the sodium, but the potassium not required for blood. So that is why whenever you should take the green vegetable for increase the potassium. This is the important, and that will function properly for fat loss, because your sodium potassium is too much important for lipolysis even, and all these things, and even the glucose metabolism, because the simple transport require the sodium influx, and the as ATPase transport required that sodium potassium exchange. So that is why this is also important for you. And the depolarization of the myocyte, depolarization of the cardiomyocyte for the muscle contraction. So all these things, the physiological process will be normal, so you ultimately decrease the obesity. But in this video we have discussed about the cause of the obesity, and the cause of the obesity is the insulin resistance. No fasting, when you will not fasting or intermittent fasting will lead to increase the obesity. And the number three thing is that the decline of the testosterone due to the fasting process will not trigger. So when you will stop the fasting and eating again and again, so the testosterone ultimately decrease. So this is the reason. I hope you make sense about that. If you like my video, please make sure to subscribe, like and share. See you in the next video. For this time, bye. And I am also making the handwritten tutorial about the biomedical science, and upcoming video I will upload again so further on. So if you like that things and learn a lot of knowledge. If you are a biomedical student, so learn a lot of knowledge. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video for this time. Allah Hafiz.